What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of World Building with DMDave. This time we are actually going to take everything that we've put together in the last couple weeks and turn it into a legible adventure, which I will be able to run, or possibly one of you will be able to run. If we need a refresher on what our dungeon's looking like so far, I have got everything here. I've actually done a little bit more work to it too, including adding in kind of a nifty landing page here that I designed in Photoshop. I have also added in the bottom level of the temple that's right here in the Lost Cavern. So if the characters go in through these stairs down here, it leads them to this temple, which again I built in Dungeon Draft. You can see the stairs lead down into here. And then there's some cool, nifty stuff. I also gave it kind of a red tint because it's a bit of an evil place. Alright, so we've got all this really right now. I just want to start writing up the Morlock Retreat. If you remember, we came up with some adventure details. We know it's a first level adventure. Grimlocks are our main enemies. Characters have to go in to find information needed for a special purpose. The villain is a humanoid conqueror, in this case a Grimlock who is a cleric. We've got a raving lunatic ally. Oh, see, I didn't include our raving lunatic ally, so we might need to figure out a place for that. We'll get back to it. Our adventure patron is a sage, and the introduction, an NPC the characters respect, asks them to do in adventure locations, and then the adventure climax has the adventure dodging obstacles designed to thwart them. Okay, cool. So what I've done is I'm going to open up a brand new document in Google Docs. I'm going to go ahead and give this kind of a placeholder name. We'll call this Morlock Retreat. Make sure we know it's a Dice and Mega Delve adventure. Let's see. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out most of this adventure's content so that it's in a so that I got my headlines first. And typically the way I do this is pretty much the same way each time. It's the way that WotC or Wizards of the Coast has been doing it for years, and one that we've kind of picked up on here at DMDave. Generally, you start off with sort of an introduction, which is going to have an introductory paragraph. So I'm going to just write that as a placeholder. Then following that, we have the backstory. That usually gives the details that the DM needs to know, but the characters won't find out. Following the backstory becomes an adventure summary. Again, this is information for the Dungeon Master, not necessarily the characters. We'll do adventure hook after that. And you'll see that I'm giving them all H2s. So when you're writing, you have to create what's called information architecture, so that as someone is reading it, they can pick up the important areas fast by judging by the size of the headings. Typically, your chapter headers or title headers are going to be heading 1. Heading 2 is usually going to be your bigger sections. Header 3 are going to be subsections to that. Heading 4 is usually even more of a sub. I would say it almost becomes like itemized, like an unordered list at that point, and then so on and so forth. Typically in 5th edition, it doesn't go down any more than 5, possibly 6. Sometimes they've gone as far as 7, especially with super complex stuff, but for the most part, you'll never really go past H4. So anyway, speaking of our H's, I've got my backstory H2, adventure summary H2, adventure hook H2, and then we will, from the adventure hook, we'll go into the Grimlock Retreat, the name of the location. Within that, we're going to start doing some subs. So I'm going to go to general features. That's going to explain kind of the basic like motif of the place that we're going to have in each different section. Like pretty much every section will have those general features. That way we don't have to repeat it like a million times. And then we'll start doing the individual areas themselves. So what we can do is we can give each one of those a name. So we've got the entrance here. We'll give that a number. And then we'll do 2 is collapsed passage. 3, and I'm going to give these H tags after I'm done typing them all out. 3 is going to be our Shrieker Cave. 4, I think that is, you know what, I want to switch 4 and 5's numbers, because you want to do the things that they're more likely to encounter first. So I think they'll probably definitely hit those Grimlocks first in the cave there. So we'll call this Grimlock Outpost. 5 will be Reverse Pit. 6 is our Basilisk Tunnel. If you remember, our Basilisk Tunnel runs parallel to the main tunnel. 7 is, we'll call them that Fool Me Once. Basically, see if we can catch people in 2 pits. 8 will be Rust Monster Meal. And 9 will be Slimy Treasure. That should be good. Yeah, that's all of our rooms there. Okay, so we've broken all those out. Let's give them all H3 tags. Remember, these are all going to be subsections under the Grimlock Retreat section. And once we're done with that, all we have to do is put in Adventure Conclusion, because that's pretty much all we need to do from there. Okay, so our introductory paragraph, I usually always do it the same way. I start off by naming the adventure. I don't really have a name for the adventure yet, so let's just call the adventures by the levels in which they're set. Well, no, they have to fetch some information, so it has something to do with gambling. If we look back at our document here, remember that we had the scheme was mayhem, fulfill an apocalyptic prophecy, having something to do with vice gambling. I'm thinking it'd be kind of cool to have, like they've been giving out cursed coins in different places, like they've been sneaking into casinos, or maybe even through different, like they've been finding a way to like stow these coins, and the characters have to go make sure that that's what's really going on here. And maybe the sage thinks it's something related to a prophecy, like some I've got some 7 deadly sin artifacts, so I think it'd be really cool to attach to one that everybody keeps asking for, which is the sin of avarice, which, you know, is greed. So it'd be kind of a cool way to do that. So why don't we call this Trail of Avarice is a, okay, so that'll be our potential title, is a 5th edition adventure for, typically we want to put a like range for the characters, but I'm just writing this for my 5th level party, so I'm just going to keep it pretty simple. Adventure for 5 characters of 1st level. That's really all we need. Then we give it like a little bit more detail, so people who are interested in it know how to run it. This adventure sees the party enter the Dyson Mega Delve, hot on the trail of Grimlocks who've been planting cursed coins in the local town's gambling halls. Although the adventure is part of the larger Dyson Mega Delve adventure series, you are free to place it into any setting that you like, especially one that has access to a large underground area. All right, and that's really all we need for our introduction. Whoops. And usually I like to, well, by English standards, you're supposed to italicize the title, and then I usually bold 5 characters of 1st level so people can grok it pretty quick. All right, backstory will come to adventure summary. The characters follow clues that lead the. All right. So remember what our adventure hook is. NPCs a character's respect. Ask them to go to adventure location. Let's go ahead and name our sage. He's going to be the guy who wants to get the characters involved. So we were going to use fantasy name generators. I think wizard name generator is a great one. FantasyNameGenerators.com. I swear to God, they've got everything. And even though their site is kind of hard to search from, so if you look at like fantasy names here. That's insane. It's just easier to type it into Google. They usually win the search engine optimization, so they'll get the top place on the search engine result page. We'll call him Edarin. That's the first one at the top. So Edarin. You know what? Let's get a cool epithet for him too. Epithet is a word that you append to the end of a name. All right. Here we go. The physician. That's cool. So Darren, the physician, contacts the characters and asks them to uncover a devious plot. Someone's been leaving cursed coins around town, especially in gambling halls and casinos. Cool. The characters follow clues that point toward a clan of Grimlocks living in a nearby series of caverns. Let's see. First, Edarin asks them to retrieve one of the coins to prove it was the Grimlocks. Yeah, because they just need to get information. So basically what we're doing is kind of writing the quick summary of the adventure, and this is going to help me write the adventure too. So Edarin the physician contact the characters and ask them to uncover a devious plot. Someone's been leaving cursed coins around town, especially in gambling halls and casinos. Characters follow clues that point toward a clan of Grimlocks living in a nearby series of caverns as the culprits. Yeah, Edarin asks the characters to find proof that the cursed coins was the Grimlocks doing. Cool. There we go. That's a little bit simpler. That way, I think we can have them so like that first group of Grimlocks that they run into, maybe they've even got like a bag of the coins on them or some of them with them. And then we'll go from there, and the characters will return to Edarin, and then he'll give them another adventure. All right, so here's what we've done so far in writing our adventure. We have outlined all of our... I don't know why I created a hard return like that, but... Oh, you know what it is? It's because all these, etc., etc. So we've created basically the outline of our adventure, including all the locations. We already know what's going on all these spots, so none of it's really going to be, at this point, it's just filling out the details, right? In writing, the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to create a series of questions for yourself, and then go back and answer those questions. So I'm asking myself, what is the basic information that I need to know? That's my introductory paragraph. What is the backstory here? What's the adventure summary? What's the hook that gets the characters involved? What do I need to know about the Grimlock Retreat, its general features? What do I need to know about Area 1, 2, 3, etc.? And then what happens at the end of the adventure? Once I start answering those questions, then the adventure starts to come to life. All right, well, we are going to pause here for now. In the next episode, we are going to start writing a little bit more of this, probably tackle some of the general features. I'm going to leave the backstory. I like to do backstory last. That way, if there's any cool details I can add in, I can reference it in the backstory as kind of foreshadowing. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.